All right, well, welcome again to Thursday Night Free Coaching, and the topic is budgeting tonight. I'm glad that you could all attend. So before I started this webinar tonight, I did a really quick Google search for personal budget templates in Excel. And I show you this because one of the things that can be really hard about budgeting is making sure that you get all of the expenses that happen in your life over the year into one budget. And having material that you can reference or look at is really helpful because it'll help you remember, oh, I didn't even remember to think about the unplanned vet expenses that happen throughout the year, or I didn't remember to think about auto registration or auto inspection that happens somewhere in July for me, or whatever. So just by Googling personal budget templates in Excel, you can see that there's like a whole bunch come up, and I particularly like banks as well as nonprofits often have really good budgets. Sometimes you can get lost in the free template land that wants you to download a lot of information. So the tip there is that banks and nonprofits often have useful information that isn't going to be confusing for you to access. It will be more simple to access. So for example, I chose Bank of America, which I knew had pretty healthy budget templates, and I went and pulled it up ahead of time. So this is a pre-made budget template from Bank of America in Excel that does all of the math for you. And I like it because it does the math for you, because you can add lines to it as you needed, but also because it gives you a really healthy list on the left here of expenses that you want to make sure that you are capturing in your budget when you do it. So if you're doing this by hand on paper, that's great, just as great as doing it in Excel. The real important part is to make sure that you get the information that you see on the left here. I love it. Unplanned dishwasher repair. This is giving you an idea of thinking beyond your everyday and into your whole year. It also does the same thing for monthly income, and it includes income that you maybe don't think about as your regular income, but some people have child support or pension, or I also include tax refunds in that category. Tax refunds are a really important part of personal income, household income, that can be used in a great way when planning your budget for the year. So I'm going to just drop that for a second and open up this. This is a start of an ebook that I'm putting together that'll walk non-financially minded people through setting up a budget and feeling comfortable with it. A lot of times people I work with are overwhelmed with budgets and how many different things they have to capture, and how to comfortably manage the flow of money throughout the month. That really never stops, right? We think of it as this linear, beginning of the month, end of the month, but really before we know it, we're into the next month. So sometimes it's really normal for non-financially minded people to struggle with the constant flow of money in and out, especially when you're not making ends meet or it's really close. That adds a level of stress to the flow that can be quite overwhelming for people, and so often they don't want to even look at it. And budgeting and looking at what's happening is the way to make your financial life more successful in the long run. Knowing what's happening and regularly engaging with what's happening is going to help you get to a place where you're able to make decisions and choices that are going to support your budget in the long run, which is really what we want. Like I'm successfully living by my budget and able to work with it when things change. So that's a really important thing to note right off the top, is that in accounting and finance world, budgets are fluid roadmaps. They change over the year, and it's really important to be able to work with the budget and let it change as you need it to, in order to be successful, because we forget things, because expenses come up that we don't expect, because income changes when we don't expect it to. So being comfortable and knowing that going into it can help ease your anxiety and help you be more successfully engaged with it. Another thing that's really important when setting up your budget is to think about it in terms of categories. And the categories don't have to be meaningful to anybody else other than you. It could be, these are the things that I spend money on from the 1st to the 5th of the month. These are things that I spend money on from the 6th to the 12th of the month, whatever it is. As long as they're meaningful for you, put them into your budget in meaningful groups so that you know, okay, this is what's happening here, and that's why it makes sense to me. So again, like when you're traveling or you're making a roadmap somewhere, you're going to write the directions down so that it makes sense to you and you can follow it. And the same goes for budgeting. You want to set up your list of expenses. So I'm scrolling through now lists of expenses that I set up, and this is how they make sense to me. So I start at the top with, in some ways, the top of my budget are the things that I absolutely have to have, right? At the end of the day, in order to be in business for myself, in order to function as an adult, have a home and eat food, I have to have these things. And so that's why they tend to hit the top of my list. And then I break it out into other meaningful categories. So auto, is my next group, you can see. And then the next group is my utilities, right? So these are all meaningful groups to me, and they help me to remember that they're all there and they come together. So then as I'm working with my numbers from month to month, these groups become like little families or little friends that I'm like, okay, boom, 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 boom. I know I spend about, $175 a month on my utilities or something like that. So the meaningful groups are helpful when setting up your list, right? Your laundry list of expenses. So the next meaningful group for me might be credit debt or credit debt or student loan debt, personal loan debt. So this is, my next meaningful group of information that I tend to put together. And then we keep going down. This is my personal care, like medical expenses, personal enrichment, dining out. Again, I think you probably can see the flow of grouping information together into meaningful chunks of data. So one thing that's really important for folks who are not linear thinkers, who are creative thinkers, often people in business for themselves are very creative, and you're off doing one thing, you're doing another thing, you're engaging people, and so sometimes we're not very linear thinkers. And in order to process data, we need to group things into meaningful chunks so that they come together, they work together, and our mind can handle them. This is an adult learning tip that it will help you in the long run. If you can create meaningful groups of data, then it will help you be more successful in the long run. So again, more meaningful groups of data that I put together: child care expenses, child enrichment expenses, and then insurance expenses. And then at the very bottom, retirement, investment, and savings. And there is a school of thought that says that should be at the very top of your list. You should save for yourself. And if that's your way of doing it, that's great. To me, there isn't a hierarchy of importance here as much as there is meaningful groups of data, short of my statement at the beginning that, you know, I really have to have a place to live, I have to have food to eat, and I need internet and cell phone in order to work. You know, putting savings on the top is certainly a great way to go. And then I have sort of miscellaneous or other expenses at the bottom that you want to capture. These would be like the small things that can be easy to forget. So remembering that these little expenses happen are really important, especially if you have subscriptions to things that happen online. Those are important to not forget because they can certainly blow your budget. And so I'm just going to pause right here and go back to the middle of that so I don't take your focus away. One of the things about being in business for yourself that is really important to be aware of is that you are managing two budgets at once. You're managing your personal life budget, and then you're managing your business budget. And I'm sure, as most of you are aware, that there's a school of thought that those should be completely separate, and you should never mingle the two, and you should have a bank account for your business and a bank account for your personal, and credit cards for your business and credit cards for your personal. And while that is like platinum star accounting and bookkeeping, and I'm all for it, and I certainly can teach and will talk about in upcoming webinar, I think it's actually next week, Thursday, free coaching, we'll talk about record keeping for, you know, awesomeness. I'm also a super realist in that I know that small business people mix together all of it. So I want to go into the next group of information so that you can see it, but know that I am aware that some of this is really mixed for all of you, or some of you in any case. So then we have business monthly expenses. And again, you want to group this information into meaningful data for you. So put all of your business expenses into one category and come up with your total. So you know, okay, it costs me about X amount of dollars to manage or run my business on a monthly basis. Okay. A couple of tips about budgeting. Once you get your plan down and you've got your meaningful groups and you figure out how much you spend per month on that expense, first of all, be mindful to be conservative. So if you're not sure if your electricity bill, it varies. Like, so for me, my electricity bill goes way up in the summertime because of air conditioning and stuff, and then way down in the winter time because we don't use electric heat. So be conservative and make your target. If you're doing it just on a month, if you're spreading it out over the year, you can make it per month. But if you're just doing it as a general, this is what my average monthly expenses cost, be conservative. So if it's typically about $30 in the winter and it's $75 in the summer, then put it at like $45, $50, somewhere roughly in the middle that you can handle, and know that there's a little room there. So conservatism in budgeting is a really good thing. I don't believe that conservatism is a good thing everywhere in life, but in budgeting, it's a really good thing. So you want to put your expenses a little higher than what they may be, and then put your income a little lower. So you don't want to overestimate your income. You are in a better position if you underestimate your income in budgeting and overestimate your expenses in budgeting, because at the end of the day, it's better to have more money than you expected and less expenses than you expected. And you don't have to be radical about it, but just give yourself a cushion. That's where cushions come in, creates a little room, breathing room, so that if something is a little more money or you make a little less money, you're in a safe zone for yourself. Another thing that's really important about budgeting tips and tricks is take a moment to look at a calendar when you're budgeting and think about the annual expenses that you forget. Like, in October, I'm not thinking about holiday spending. I'm not thinking about buying Thanksgiving groceries. I'm not thinking about a Mother's Day card for my mother or a gift for my mother. So sit down and plan out, this month I'm not thinking about the summer vacation that I want to take, or any of those specific things. This month we're thinking October, so at best I'm thinking like, okay, what do I need to buy for Halloween for my kid's costume, So take out a calendar and actually go through it and note, how much do I expect or want to spend on a holiday? How much, this holiday for Mother's Day, this holiday for, a winter holiday, whatever it is. And you can add those all together and then divide them by 12 and know that, add that in at the bottom of your categories for miscellaneous expenses is, holiday or vacation planning. So you can put that much money away into a bank account over the year. And so you'll create a little slush fund for yourself that you can use when those holidays come up. And if you're not able to save and you're using credit for things, then at least you can know, all right, I know that my credit, I'm going to use my credit card for X amount over the year. And you can then plan, okay, so then I will have, I know I'm going to get tax refunds, so I can pay that off with that, or I know I'm going to have a higher income during the summer because, or for me, like tax season, I'll work a little extra so I can pay it off then. So by remembering to look at the whole,
figure out your holiday budgets year round.
So looking at the whole year will help me to make a plan for my income and how to pay off and stay on track with my budget.
12. Put that away every month into a
Okay. So what else do I have? I can hear somebody talking, just so you know. But your feedback is good. Thanks. I'm glad that was a good tip for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's excellent. Annual expenses. So that's also with that calendar. Think about things like brakes, tires, car registration, renewal fees for things. Sometimes people have like a professional membership where you're going to have a renewal. So sometimes it's the calendar. When you look at that month, that's what will help you remember. So, if I'm looking at my budget in October, I may not be thinking about, April. So the calendar is the useful tip there. Okay, and so to be mindful of time, because I want to give us some time to all talk, I want to show you something about this Bank of America spreadsheet. So one of the things that I love about this spreadsheet is that they include an actual column, and this is the key to your success. Whether you do it the way Bank of America does it or not, doesn't matter to me. It just matters that you do it. So your roadmap is useless if you don't take the journey and check on what roads you're on, right? So you sit down and do your budget, and then on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you actually have to check, is it correct? Are you spending what you expected to spend? And for most people, I will tell you, you are not alone. That is totally overwhelming, too much time. I had one client once tell me, like, I have to do this every week. And I was like, yeah, you have to do this every week. And I can tell you that after working with her for 3 months, at the end, she was like, this is totally transformative. And she went from like totally, mistrusting me, in completely uncomfortable with working with me and helping her do this, to like, wow, you've changed my life. So you actually go from writing your budget to comparing what you spent. And so like literally on a weekly basis, taking a look at your bank statements, taking a look online. Most people are online these days. Okay, I have 10 minutes left. That will be that's my cue. So we'll have another talk about that, how to do that in the future. But comparing where you're at to what you've budgeted is the key to a successful budget. And once you're doing it on a regular basis, you will know how much money you need to make, you know where to cut, where you can expend a little more, but it will take some time, at least 3 months, right? 90 days is a really good thing for making good changes in your life. I just want to make sure I have anything else. The last thing I want to get to, I'm not going to share that full today. There is an organization called America Saves. I can't get to it. Oh, there we go. AmericaSaves.org, which has really useful and accessible information if you're trying to save for something or get savings into your budget. And they also have a lottery every tax year for anybody. You can put your name into the hat. And like be pulled for like $100 weekly prize. It's a total nonprofit, fabulous organization that is geared towards helping people become savers in the United States. And I would love for everybody to check that out. I'm a big advocate for the work that they're doing and believe that savings is an important part of your budget, and aware and a realist that for many people it's not. So that being said,
could you say the name again of the organization, please?
Sure, it's americasaves.org.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right. So I am going to say thank you all for listening to that. In a second, I'm going to stop recording, and